What's happening, everyone? This is Jim from RC After Dark. Well, today is the day I'm finally going to install these Boom Racing 2.2 wheels onto those Proline 2.2 Super Swamper tires. I've had these wheels for about I don't know, a little over a month now, maybe 2 months. So about time they got installed. For all the old viewers, you know these. New viewers, we'll take a look at them here. These are Venomous Krait 2.2 aluminum beadlock wheels with 8mm wideners. Part number BRW780905GD. Alright, so these are Boom Racing, and they were ordered from Asia T's website along with the wheels. Not being sponsored by anybody, just letting you know where I bought them from. There's a look at the wheels. Not too shabby. Need to install the inner ring of bolts still along there, which are just decorational. This outer ring is also decorational, but they do have to be tightened down. And here are the actual screws or bolts that do the bead locking, with a plastic ring in the middle. On their 1.9 wheels, it is a aluminum ring in the middle. So it's interesting that they're plastic on these. Right off the bat, I noticed as far as hardware that these had both of their spacers in here, and they had their package of hardware. This other one, here's the package of hardware right here. Which are your nuts for running through the spacers, along with some washers and some lock washers. One of these wheels right here had an open package, so all the hardware was just laying in the box. I'm pretty sure I'm missing a couple screws here. I think there's supposed to be enough to go around the inside of the wheel on both wheels, so missing some screws. And it had both its spacers as well. Third package here, this only had one spacer, but when it came to the hardware, it had 2 extra spacers in the hardware, so 3 spacers total, and a grand total of 3 packages of screws and whatnot. So 3 sets of these, it looks like, inside the package. Possibly more. 1, 2, 3 for sure. So that was odd. It came with one spacer, one widener inside the foam, and then, like I said, these 2 and these 3 packages of hardware wedged inside the little gap there on the side. Side note, they do package them nicely. This was on the back half of the package, this little piece of foam here. So you get 3 pieces in total, which make good for lining your aluminum toolbox. Keep stuff from rattling around back there when you're rolling down the trail. Also, FYI, I have some magnets glued into the toolbox along the top and sides to help keep things sealed in case it rolls over. Alright, so doing this work today without a tripod. My tripod broke, it's in the background, and I've got it gluing currently. Broke a couple legs off that bad boy, got a little too low with it. Alright, so here we go. Find a place to rig up this camera, and we'll start installing these wheels. I'm also going to be adding some lead wheel weights to these guys as well. As far as how much, not too sure. Probably a full strip on the front. I might gap out the back, like 1, 2, 3, 4, just because my back end of the truck is a little bit heavier than the front. So let's move on here, eh? And I guess 2 other little side notes. Here are the plastic spacers. Don't know if I mentioned that, for going in between the wheels to widen them up a little bit. Don't like using these just because when you start tightening down the wheels, these tend to crack and break. So really not much of a point. If they're aluminum, it would probably be a different story. And only one package of wheels actually came with instructions for how to put everything together. And like I said, that outer ring is just a trim ring. So that's really, I mean, it's holding things together, but the inner 5 bolts are what's actually doing the bead locking on this particular wheel. Alright, so that is that, and let's get to throwing this mess together. Alright guys, well, I've got my phone resting on a set of tires here, so hopefully you can see this. First thing I'm going to start off with is the lead weights going around this outer ring on the wheel. Lead weights come in a big bar, double-sided tape on the back edge. And since this is lead, you definitely need, you should probably be wearing gloves, or, you know, make sure to use plenty of soap and water and scrub your hands after you get done messing with this. Don't put your hands in your mouth or by your eyes or anything like that during the entire process when you're handling this lead. This product contains lead and antimony chemicals known in the state of California to cause cancer, birth defects, or other reproductive harm. Do not place your hands in your mouth after handling this product. Do not place this product in your mouth. Wash your hands after handling this product. This product is only to be sold in package that bears this warning and is not to be repackaged or sold individually or in any other manner of packaging. Blah, blah, blah. In case anybody was wondering, there are the wheel weights. And we are moving on. All right. Well, we got our wheel. We have our weights. I'm going to start bending this right around. Hopefully you can see this right around the edge of this wheel. Trying to keep it in the center as much as possible. Trying to keep the lead centered as well. It's starting to walk off to the side a little bit right now. If this was the aluminum one, I probably would have did it off the wheel. But since it's the plastic one, I'm doing this on the wheel. Just to get the general overall size that we want as far as matching the circumference of the wheel. Now I need to guesstimate exactly where I need to cut this at, which is always kind of a guessing game because I want to leave room, because after I get done I'm probably going to walk around this with a pair of pliers and make sure that it's snug all the way around. So little guessing game. I'm probably going to cut it right back here a little bit. Probably right about in this area is where I'm going to cut it at. Regular pair of side cutters, wire cutters. Double check your cuts here. I might go in front of this cut a little bit. You can always take some off. You can, it's hard to put stuff back on. Pretty easy to cut. Sliding it back around. Noticing that I do need to cut more off. And when it's all together, after I squish it down more, I see that I need to remove a little bit more. Not exactly an exact science, more trial and error. Alright, so that's a little bit closer to what I want. So when I do this final squish with a pair of pliers, that's probably going to close that gap. I'm going to open it up just a little bit, just to make it easy to get the double-sided tape off the back of the, or to get the one layer of film off the edge of the double-sided tape here. That way we can get this stuck on the wheel. First I'm going to take the wheel apart though. That way I can squeeze the lead around the plastic here. Alright, so down to the last screw here. Taking this back ring off. Revealing the rest of the wheel. Now the wheel has these little crescent cuts in it. And there's little set screw holes on the sides. 3 set screw holes. Now that is so if you're putting on these wheel spacers, these 8mm wheel spacers, they have holes pre-drilled in them to line up with these set screw holes. That way you can attach the wheel spacer to the actual wheel if you wanted to. You don't have to. You can just slide this onto your existing stud coming off the wheel, the spindle, and you would be fine. But that just keeps you from having to worry about losing these. Now, since I don't know what exact size spacer I need exactly, because these are probably going to go on my TF2, you never know. I might bounce these around from truck to truck. So I'm not going to put any screws, I'm not going to attach the wheel spacer to the actual hub. I'm just going to leave this part and attach it on the actual spindle, because it also has 2 other little set screw holes back here, so you can lock this down to the spindle if you want as well. So you can either lock it down to the wheel or you can lock it down to the spindle. Your choice on these. And since I don't know what size spacer I'm going to be running, like I said, I'm not going to lock them down. Alright, so here's our basic wheel. And we need to get these wheel weights stuck on here. So we'll get to doing that. This stuff is pretty sticky. That's what she said. Oh, that was just right there. And it's stuck down pretty good. And I'm trying to make sure that I have it centered, and it's not centered. Trying to make sure it looks basically centered to my point of view. Doing a little bit at a time from each side. Since this is a slow-moving vehicle, it really, you know, these tires aren't going to be seeing that much centrifugal force. Alright, it's pretty close. And as soon as I find my magical pliers here, some spring-loaded robo grips is what I'm using. I'm just gently squeezing around the center here. Starting at the bottom. Working my way up to the end. which doesn't appear to be exactly center there. So a little bit of final tweaking with the pliers to get it somewhat close. Don't want to really mess up the edge of this ring though, because that is doing your sealing with your wheel, so got to be careful with that whole mess. Alright, so that's pretty close right there. A little gap at the end, but like I said, you got to be careful with your trimming. Not an exact science, but once again, these tires aren't going to be spinning that fast either, so really not too worried about having any wobbles or anything like that. So let's move on to the next step, getting one of these put together. And since we are moving on to the tires, we'll take a quick peek at the tires here. Nice soft foam on the inside. I'm going to be leaving the foam on the inside. I don't normally do that, but since I'm putting weight in these tires and that TF2 is a heavy rig, figure I'll just leave the foam in there. There's a part number on our tires down yonder. 1166-14. Nothing special. Just a 2.2 Super Swapper, G8 Rock Terrain, memory foam. So that is what we are throwing on there. Here comes the fun part. Getting all this together. Alright, let the fun begin. I have my fingers on the back edge here, pushing the foam down, trying to make this process just a little bit easier here. There's really nothing too easy about it. Hard part is trying to make sure that the foam is balanced around those wheel weights. This particular center bead ring, or the beadlock ring on the inside of this wheel, is actually wide enough that I probably could have put 2 strips of weights around it if I really wanted to. But that might get a bit excessive. When it's all said and done, it's going to be pretty heavy with the existing weights on here. Now, looking inside here, this is pretty crooked. So I need to work on getting this foam straight. And I basically just going in from the sides and pulling down on the bottom edge of this, trying to gently straighten it back out as I work my way around the edge of this tire. I'm going to put you guys on pause so I'm not eating up too much camera time in this process, because this could take a minute. Alright, close up. Looking at the inside here, it's pretty center. Close enough that I'm going to start slapping this guy back together. And here we go. Now, when you're putting these together, if you had a directional tire, you definitely want to make sure that you're paying attention to what direction you're putting your wheels on. But these are Super Swampers, so they're not really directional. But they do have this yellow dot on the one edge of them, and not on the back edge. Since I just noticed that yellow dot, I'm actually going to turn this around and put that dot on the inside of the wheel. Kind of gently pushing this in here just to make sure that it's kind of halfway lining up with the center bead ring here, or with the bead ring on the tire. because this outer edge, this metal bead ring will actually countersink into the rubber just a little bit on the sides. Taking a look at the inside, making sure that it's all nice and snug right up against the inner bead ring, which I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but it is pressed close up against it. Take our back edge and try to line this up as best as possible with these screw holes. It's a long distance, so kind of a guessing game when you're lining this up. Trying to get this so you guys can see it and I can see it at the same time here. It looks like we have some foam protruding through here, which is not necessarily what I want. And I might not be able to do a darn thing about it. Trying to tuck the foam behind the edge of the rubber here. Kind of using my finger and sliding it along here. Trying to push that foam into place. Or trying to push the foam out of the way. Sorry, you guys can't see that. Normally I'd be pausing the camera through this, but I figured I would let you guys enjoy my misery along with me. Alright, so pretty much lined up right here. Need to get some screws started. So this part can be a little bit fun. And not in a good way. Sorry about that you guys can't see that. I'm just trying to line this up here with the screw hole. And it's kind of tricky. That and trying to keep everything sort of straight at the same time. Alright, got one started. I can tell that this is going to be a little bit of a fight. Definitely want to be careful. You don't want to warp your wheel or warp the back edge spacer of it from torquing too hard on things. Alright, got two started. Alright, so all five are started currently. I'm going to start tightening this down in a kind of a crisscross pattern here. A couple turns at a time. Flipping the wheel around as I go, making sure to look at everything to see that it's seating together correctly. Taking a quick look at it, just my eye, just to make sure that it's relatively even all the way around before I get started here. Probably going to use this orange dot for a reference as to where I start from. So I'll probably start down here. Kind of looking at it again, make sure that I'm not getting ahead of myself. It looks like I've got this side cranked down a little bit farther than this side. And I just messed up my order. Just that easy. Alright, well, looking again just to make sure that I have everything sort of lining up here. Get restarted on the correct order. Yep, this is a boring process, but you know what? I figured I would do it real time. Nobody really seems to do that too much. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Oops, spun my driver a little bit there. Gotta be careful and make sure you're sitting on straight. And apparently I got a little ahead of myself. And there we go. We are all nice and countersunk around in here. Looks relatively even. Sorry, I'm looking through the camera as well just to make sure that we're looking at the same thing here. So that's one all together. Not too shabby.